We're good to go. All right. So tell everybody who you are.
Hi, Nick. Hi, everybody out there. I'm your mom. My name is Terry.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a small business owner, and I'm also, well, that's what I do for a living. I own a small private investigation firm.
Yeah, a small private investigating firm. And how did you actually start that? How did you get into private investigating?
Okay, well, I was a banker for 25 years, and the last few I was working as an internal auditor. My job became downsized, so I went back to school to study criminology. And while I was studying criminology, I started working on a part-time basis doing surveillance detection for the US consulate, and that was pre 9/11. And doing that, I became interested in surveillance detection techniques. And I went and got my private investigation license. And then I became a background private investigator in cyber research.
So when everyone hears the word private investigator, right away they think of, Inspector Gadget with the big, the big detective hat and following people. Without going into too much details, what kind of clients do you work for usually?
We do a lot of, primarily we do insurance fraud. So we work for insurance companies, and we do a lot of work for local law firms and banks.
So now, as a private investigator that you've been running a company, how long have you been doing that for now? Just a private investigator.
I became a private investigator in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for a private company for 2 years. And then I met my late husband, Ron, who was also working as a private investigator at the time, not for the same company.
Right.
And we started our company in 2003.
Okay. And since 2015, every time I talk to you about work, you've told me that you're going to retire. And we're now 2020, 5 years later, and you still haven't retired. So
right.
Will you ever retire?
Nick, that's a really good question.
I know.
And I really don't have the answer for that, because I've worked full-time since I've been 17 years old. And so, it's part of who I am. I love my work.
Yeah.
I love being busy.
Right.
I enjoy what I do.
Sure.
So sometimes when I say I'm going to retire, I think, why am I going to retire? Like, why should I retire? And other times I think, why shouldn't I? But
right.
I guess that's the $1 million question, to which I really don't have an answer, as you know.
Well,
I don't think I will, though.
And I mean, is it just because you think you would just be bored, or you just love what you do? Or combination
Well,
of two?
it's actually twofold. I think I would be, I don't know if bored's a good word, because I really have a difficult time getting bored. I have a lot of interests and I have a good life, so I don't think I would be bored. I think it's more that I like challenges. And so I think even if I were to retire from this current company that I have, I likely would look into starting another business.
Right.
Just because I do like keeping myself occupied, and I do like challenges.
Would it be another business within the same field, or something completely different?
That's another good question, to which I really don't know the answer. What I may do is either, well, depending on the outcome of this current recession, I may either choose to keep the business going and start another business alongside it, or I may just continue probe.
Well, actually, that's another thing I wanted to ask you. After living through a couple of recessions yourself, do you have any advice for someone, say my age, who's never really lived through a full recession? I mean, I did start my business back before 2008, so I have gone through one recession, but you've gone through about three, correct?
Right.
Right.
I went through one in 81, which was a really bad one. Again in 91, which was less severe, and then in 2008. Now, the difference in 81, I was employed as a banker at the time.
Okay.
And then in 91, I was still employed as a banker. So the big difference in the 2008 one was I was self-employed. So it's difficult. Going through any recession is never easy for anybody. There's always lots of worries. There's always lots of stress. I guess the biggest advice I could give is to know that we're all in it together. Somehow that will help. Also to know that it does end.
Right.
And even though it does, it seems very long and probably quite horrific at the time, it does eventually end, and things, life as you knew it before, does return to normal.
Right.
So it's stressful times. It's important to eat well, be kind to others, exercise. Exercise definitely reduces the stress for me anyway. To get good sleep, to, try not to stress, use techniques such as podcasts for meditation, to just learn how to relax and try to not listen to the news 24/7. I know that's difficult. I say listen, read, whatever. It's very difficult, especially in these times, but I think it's really important because it can become totally overwhelming.
Of
And a
course.
lot of times it's very repetitious.
Sure.
So what I've done in this particular case is I limit myself now to a half an hour of news in the morning,
Okay.
half an hour at lunch, half an hour in the evening. I find personally that helps. I do a lot of exercise. I walk a lot. I eat well, and I try to get a good night's sleep.
Well, that's funny because a lot of my clients, they always say to me, "Oh, your parents must be so active and fit." And it's funny because my parents are not together anymore, but you're very active and fit, whereas my father, not so much. So to stay active and fit, what do you do?
Well, I'm really fortunate because working from home has allowed me to not have a commute. So automatically that puts an extra 2 or 3 hours into my day, which I take full advantage of. I love to walk. I've always been a walker. I also like to swim and I like to bike and I like to cross country ski, but primarily my go-to is walking.
Right.
I have our dog Ozzy, as you know,
Yeah.
and he loves to walk too. So I typically go for minimum 1.5 hours to usually 2 to 3 hour walk every day. And for me, that's a great way of reducing my stress.
Sure.
I listen to podcasts.
Right.
I listen to music. Usually I listen to podcasts, though, mostly true crime. And I love them. And the thing about listening to the podcast, it's like reading a good book. So
Right.
the more you get into it, the more you want to hear. So it actually makes me walk further because I don't want to come back.
Yeah.
Because when I come back, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to
Sure.
turn off the podcast.
Yes. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what even Robin was saying to me the other day. She's like, "I don't know how your mom has so much energy." You were at our house, and I think you were there till like maybe 11 o'clock at night, and we were just like so tired. I just like
Yeah, but you
your
guys
mom
get
could
up
keep.
much earlier.
She's like, your mom can keep going till 3 in the morning. I'm like, I know. I don't know what her secret is. I said, I think maybe she's smoking some crack on the side. I don't know. But you just have so much energy, and you always seem
I
so positive as well.
Well, I think I do have a lot of energy, and I think I'm lucky that I do have a lot of energy.
You always think
And
you're
I think
lucky. Yeah. Robin loves when you
I
say
know.
that. Yeah.
Well, the positive outlook is important in
Sure.
life.
No,
It's really
100%.
important.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So no, I do sincerely believe that I am a lucky person. I am truly blessed and I feel energized, and I think it's easier for me to have a positive outlook because I'm an optimist.
Right.
And I think that's just the way I am. It's not something I set out to do, but it is true. I do have a lot of energy and I do attribute it to exercise.
Sure. And well, that brings me actually to my next point with COVID-19 now. I mean, I have a lot of clients, they don't have access to a gym now. They can't go to the gym anymore and exercise. So I'm telling them to do exactly what you do is get outside, get moving. As long as you're not forced to be inside and quarantined, you can still move outside. Now, if you are inside, there are other exercises you can do. We put up a few workout videos on our Instagram platform the other day. What do you say to people like that, though, that just feel like all hope is lost right now and things aren't going to change?
I think it's easy to fall into that trap.
Right.
And I think that you do have to work at maintaining the attitude that this is going to eventually end.
Right.
And in the meantime, you have to take good care of yourself, of your
Sure.
family, be kind to people, and just keep, maintaining a positive outlook is not always easy. So sometimes, it's fun to distract yourself by movies that are fun. Don't watch movies that are like pandemics, about whatever.
No,
Like just, get some good comedy in your life and
right.
just relax and
Yes.
do things that, uplift you, whether it's, in my case, this is going to sound very strange. I actually fall asleep to listening to true crime podcasts, which can
Yeah.
sometimes be not so
That might not
uplifting.
be so good
But
for some people, especially if they're depressed. Maybe we'll take that part out.
yeah, edit that out.
Yeah,
But
I'll
there's
see
a
what.
lot of good podcasts like that are uplifting, or there's Netflix movies, or you can watch these dog and cat videos on YouTube, and
Well,
there's
you
lots of
can,
ways
but
to.
yeah, no, your dog. But
Oh no, not with my dog.
you gotta be careful watching certain shows.
Yeah,
But
I would.
have you noticed? I mean, you live out in Langley, so
Hmm.
it's a little bit more secluded out there than it is, say, downtown Vancouver, where I am.
Yes.
Have you noticed a big difference as far as with COVID-19, people social distancing themselves? I mean, how has it impacted you personally and through work?
Okay. You cut out a bit there, but
Okay,
I understood the gist of what you were saying, I
okay.
think. So yes, I have noticed a lot of social distancing.
Hmm.
So I walk every day, and I sometimes walk trails, and I sometimes walk neighborhoods, and I've noticed there's a lot less vehicle traffic.
Right.
There's a lot less people out and about. I notice that when I am walking in neighborhoods, one of the people, like as I'm walking towards people, inevitably one of us will get off the sidewalk to make that 6 foot distance to the other people. So people are definitely taking precautions.
Okay.
I'm not going to the stores as much as I used to. I'm trying to self isolate. I'm actually trying to stay home more. That said, I do go out for my walk, and I keep a good distance from people.
Which is encouraged to do, actually. They're
Yeah,
encouraging you, unless you actually have the virus or you've been traveled internationally, to go outside and walk, but just keep
right.
a good physical social distance away from other people.
Yeah. And one thing I have to say too, Nick, I've
Yeah.
noticed a lot, not a lot, but I've noticed more kids out on bicycles, which
Okay.
I think is great. And I've noticed more families out walking
Right.
and with each other. So people do seem to be out and about, but they are keeping their distance,
Okay.
which is a good thing.
Yeah. One thing I noticed today is a lot more police presence, especially downtown. I've noticed that more so today and yesterday. I think I told
Hmm.
you earlier today I went down to the blood clinic to donate blood, and I've never had to wait that long to donate, which is a good sign.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I even said maybe I should come back tomorrow, and they said we're actually fully booked tomorrow, and they're fully booked on Friday. So those are really good
That's
signs.
great.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And I think I should sign up and do that as well. I've always been really afraid to give blood. I don't know why. I don't love needles, but then who does? But yeah,
right.
I think, that's a good idea. And I'll probably do that as well.
But the process to go through it is extremely long because you have to proper so much hygiene already, right? You have to practice good hygiene. So
Yeah.
and you have to keep that social distance, which is hard when someone is putting a needle in you. So it's a
So
little odd. Yeah,
yeah,
it was a little
how,
odd.
how,
How did I what?
how long does it take? Like once you're on the table or on the chair,
Yeah,
or how long does that take?
today actually took an hour and a half, and it's never taken that long. So,
An
and
hour and a half
yeah,
for
an
them
hour and a
to
half.
withdraw your blood?
No, just to go through the process
Okay.
of
So how
me,
long?
and I had an appointment, but I still had to wait. Usually, it would take about half an hour,
Okay.
but because they're being so careful with the social distancing and really, really super with everything has to be super clean, it takes a little longer now. But
So
I don't
I
want that to deter people from going to donate blood because you still should do it. I just recommend making an appointment first. Don't just do a drop in.
absolutely. And I think it's a great idea. And I think it's really the least we can do in these times to help
Sure.
people. And they definitely will need it and have a shortage. So kudos to you and everybody out there who's doing that.
And just for my second question, with as far as COVID-19, how has it affected you as far as work wise?
So most of our clients, a lot of what okay, there's three facets to our business.
Right.
We do cyber research, we do background investigation, and we do surveillance. So
Okay.
usually what we do is we do cyber research first. That will give us a good heads up as to what the person's interests are and what they're likely to be doing.
Mhm.
Then we do the surveillance, and then we do the background interviews with
Right.
their employers, former employers, neighbors, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So now our clients, because of the self distancing and self isolation and people staying home, which they're encouraged to do, and I encourage them to do, we are not doing surveillance anymore. And
Okay.
we haven't been doing surveillance since last Wednesday
Okay.
or last Tuesday, a week ago. Yeah. And we are continuing our cyber research,
Mhm.
and we are continuing our background interviews. But the dilemma there is we like to interview people in person
Okay.
because you tend to have a better rapport with the person. This is great doing it like this. Actually, after doing this, I'm probably going to talk to my background guy and suggest he does this as well.
Right.
And so we can do right now our interviews by phone only, but or by this methodology and no longer in person. So
Right.
it's drastically affected our business
Mhm.
to the point that I am laying most of our employees off.
Wow.
Hmm.
And I mean,
It'll
obviously,
be a temporary layoff
that's what I was
until
going to
this
say,
is done.
right? We're hoping
Yeah,
for a short-term layoff.
right. And, with government incentives as EI and other programs that they're hopefully coming out with soon, that will be at least helpful to people financially.
I know you've limited your exposure to news, which is probably a good thing. But so from what you've seen so far, how do you think Trudeau is handling the situation in Canada?
I think overall Trudeau's doing a good job. I think, of course, he could be doing more. I think that, some of the programs financially that he's coming out with, the financial programs are good. I think that the government needs to step up and do more there. And I think, they need to take advantage of the state of emergency in terms of what their powers actually are. It's not going to be popular, but I think that they do have to start enforcing more people to stay home and to self isolate, because I think this potentially can get a lot worse before it will get
Definitely.
better. And I think if we don't really start paying attention to it to this, to the same degree that China did,
Right.
then I think we're working at flattening that curve, but to really keep it flat and I think we do have to stay home.
And I think that's
And
frustrating.
so, except of course for the non-essential services.
Sure. Oh, you disappeared.
Oh,
You
you know
back?
what happened? I have a call coming through, so
Uh-oh.
I'm
Can you put
just
me on
gonna
hold?
hang up that. No, I'm
Okay.
gonna hang up that call.
Technical difficulty. Oh, oh, is
Hello?
she back? Hello.
Okay, yeah, I had a call coming through, so
It's
I
okay. We
just
know you're
disconnected it.
popular. It's okay. Nobody actually calls me. It's funny. With all this social distancing, do you think I get more phone calls? Nobody calls me. I think people are
I call
happy.
you Nick.
You do. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. That's what Robin was saying to me the other night. She's like, another fun night with your mom Saturday night. And she said, is your mom going to be able to come over now with the social distancing? I said, oh, my mom will still come over. Um,
I would love to come over. I'm not sure about, because I worry about, is it okay to say Robin's immune system?
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So on that note, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm
Right.
not sure what we should do.
Yeah. Well, for now, Zoom has worked really well. I mean, I just started using this platform to talk with other clients, and it's worked out really well. I think I
That's
told you
great.
you're actually the third person I'm talking to today on this, and I've loved it so far. It's actually a really
You
good way
know,
to, yeah, go ahead.
I agree. I'm really impressed. Like I've used FaceTime a few times, but
Yeah.
I'm going to say something here. So I'm going to move the camera
Yeah.
like this.
Okay.
I tend to look really bad like that. So if you move it up like that, you look a little better. So there's ways to do it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get myself ready for this. I just naturally look like this all day. I have no idea. Robin constantly like pops like blackheads on my nose and stuff. She's like, you have a blackhead.
I know,
What's
I've
that? I didn't even
watched
know what
her.
that was. Yeah, I don't care about that.
It's a really gross thing to see.
Yeah, it's not the best, It's kind of
I always wish we had more social distancing when that's going on.
yeah. So do I actually. I was trying to get her to go through with that social distancing rule, like get her own rooms. She wouldn't have it.
Gives a whole new meaning to the word social distance.
Exactly. I actually just had one more follow-up question with what they're doing in the U.S. right now. And as of today, I heard this yesterday with President Trump, and he's considering reopening the U.S. for business in the next 2 weeks to help boost the economy. I know your stance on Trump, and I share the same stance. But what do you think about that?
I think it's a very short-sighted and foolhardy move. And I think if he does do that, there will be the death toll would be incredibly significant
Mhm.
compared to if we continue to practice social. I mean, I looked at what was going on in Florida, what was going on. I mean, look at New York as a good example. I mean,
Right.
it's crazy what's happening there.
Yeah.
But, again, I'm having a call come
Oh,
through, so hold
it's
on.
super popular.
Okay, I'm just hanging up on
No,
that
that's
person.
okay. Yeah, that's fine. This is more important
I
right now.
don't, I don't know how popular I'm going to be if I keep hanging up on people. But anyway, I think that Trump, well, you know what I think about him, but I think that, for anybody to think that we should just continue life as normal is just saying, okay, well, let's not pay attention to this. Let's increase the death toll significantly. Let's, drive our doctors and nurses and hospital people to extinction because they can't even cope with what's going on now. Never mind what will happen to that curve if we don't pay attention.
Right.
So I think, it's not all about economics. It's not great if our economy is doing well and everybody's dying off.
No.
So what's more important, health or money?
Right.
I think that's the bottom line, and that's what it comes down to. And if you don't have, you can have lots of money, but if you're dying, what good is that for you?
Yeah. No, I thought it was really scary when I read that, and then I had to fact check it to make sure it was true. And sure enough, it's true.
It
So,
didn't surprise me that that's
no,
true. Unfortunately, it's
yeah.
a very, but I hope that he has enough intelligent people around him
Hmm.
to quash that idea.
Right. Oh,
Do you want to see Ozzy? Can
looks
you
just
see
like
him
how,
there?
yes, yes, I see it. Yeah, he's made a special guest appearance. Uh,
There he is.
oh,
Sorry.
so, no, that's okay. I'll interview him tomorrow. But for now, I just want to ask you one more thing. So, given the circumstances that we're in and the experience that you have living through 3 recessions yourself, and you said, we will get through this. For people who are like lost their job, they can't work out. There's that mental health component gone. Have any suggestions to them as to what to do, like how to move forward right now?
I think everybody has to try to stay calm.
Hmm.
And I go back to try not to listen to too much news because it is overwhelming. Like we all have to listen and be informed, but we all should take breaks from it as well. The recession will happen and is happening and it will end. And I think if you keep that in mind, that's helpful. But I think it's really important to take good care of yourself, your family, be kind to everybody, exercise, eat healthy, sleep, do all the good stuff that is important because if you don't take care of yourself at the end of this, it's going to be much harder to get through mentally. Mental health it's really difficult to get through times like this sometimes.
Sure.
And if you have a good support system
Yeah.
and just support the people that you love and that love you,
Right.
then that will help too, because for sure it's stressful.
Yeah.
And financial stress is never easy.
No.
I guess the good news is they are coming out with more programs on a daily basis, and I hope they come out with more for especially young families and young people.
Right.
And it is very stressful. It's just, I think knowing that it's going to end is often, it's sometimes hard when you're going through stuff like
When
this
you're in
to
the middle of it,
realize.
yes, or even
Yeah,
in this case, in the beginning of it. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think.
And also to take comfort in the fact that we're all going through it together. Like
Yeah.
you're not alone in it. That's important too.
And that's exactly why I wanted to start doing these talks. Just to see. I wanted to point everyone's perspective. Different
Yeah.
perspectives. It's
Yeah,
just.
I think it's a great idea. And
Oh, you froze on me.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you froze there too.
Oh.
No, I think these talks like this are a great idea. Your YouTube channel, I'm looking forward to.
I'll send you a
Or
link.
you have become frozen. I don't know if I have.
Oh, it's okay. It's you. But what
Oh,
we'll do, what I'll do, I will send you a link to the YouTube channel, and hopefully we'll get something
yeah.
up and running. But no, I
That
want to
would be
thank you.
great.
Yeah, I want to thank you for setting some time because I know you're very busy. All the phone calls coming in, so I'm going to let you go. No, I know you're
Okay.
busy, but
Thanks, Nick.
thank you very much. And I'll let you know what
And
I have
thank
for
you very
this,
much.
and I'll send you a copy of it. Okay, thanks again, Mom.
Okay, great.
All right, okay, have a good
Thanks
day.
very much, Nick.
Okay,
Okay, love you.
bye. Okay,
You
bye,
too. Bye-bye. Bye.
bye. Thank you.